Hi guys, this is Lada from astrolada.com with your weekly horoscope for January from the 7th till the 13th, amidst a very hectic start of the year right after an eclipse. So many of us are in the middle of big life changes. Many of us are in a hurry to move forward because this week already absolutely all planets are moving forward. This is very rare that it happens. Usually there is always one or two planets that are moving in the opposite direction, making us stop forward movement as well, go back. But now things are different. So everyone has this sense and this urgency to move ahead for new experiences. And because of the eclipses that were happening, and there is one more in January, as I said, quite a few people are contemplating or in the middle or planning some big life changes that are about to happen. And because Mars is also in Aries, Mars is the planet of action and impetus to make things happen and to fix problems. And Aries is the most impatient sign, of course, and the most proactive as well. So there is this sense of restlessness and urgency in us. All planets moving direct, which means that for the next month till they're all direct, we'll be experiencing a lot of new things that haven't happened to us before. A new areas, we'll be exploring new areas, new experiences, new developments, new opportunities, or new obstacles. We'll be on our way like a new set of obstacles, new set of opportunities are starting, not something familiar till now. And because of this Mars in Aries, we're like, I want to do it now. And because of the eclipses as well, which are around us, we're like, the urgency is even bigger, and the urgency is of fated events. But this week, in particular, we have to overcome a couple of obstacles, or a few obstacles, because there are a couple of square aspects that are happening. And square aspects, which is the 90-degree aspects between planets, are about something that something that triggers you again into action, but because it introduces some crisis or some obstacle that you have to overcome. So we'll walk you out. I'm going to walk you through that, how you can do this. And of course, this is just the general prognosis. I'll mention each of the 12 signs. If you want a really specific one, the one that in the world no one else will have like you have the free transit calculator, which I've created over 4 years for you, and it's out already. We already have 10,000 people that are using it in just 1 week of announcing it, which is fantastic. And you just go there, you enter your details. I'll put you the link below, and you can check your personal transit. No one else in the world, unless you have a twin born within 5 minutes, will have the same transit at the same time with you. So this is the most personal weekly horoscope you'll get. It's free for a week. If you want longer, you can unlock for a very small amount further. But anyway, let's see what the general outcome of the week is. Well, right after the eclipses, the energy is still up in the air, bubbling, with emotionally or real events. And so many planets are actually in cardinal signs, in Capricorn, in Aries. And cardinal signs, they're about change. They want change. They want to, just like the cardinal seasons are when, when is the start of the spring, the start of the winter. So it's a new chapter again. Cardinal signs are about new beginnings and changes. So indeed, we are in a state of hurry, of restlessness. And let's walk you through what kind of obstacles you have to go through. And I want to share my screen with you, because I'm going to show you my 2019 calendar. And this is for January. The week we're looking at is from the 7th to the 13th. And you can see the events that are going to happen here. Venus goes into Sagittarius. At the beginning, Mercury squares Mars, Sun conjunct Pluto, Mercury conjunct Saturn, and Jupiter square Neptune. I'm going to talk in particular a lot about the Mercury square Mars. I'm going to speak a lot about Jupiter square Neptune and Mercury square conjunct Saturn. We're going to go through that, how it's going to affect the different people. And we have the legend, and Venus ingress into Sagittarius at the start of the week. And I'm going to close down this now. You saw it. But anyone who likes that calendar, which has an explanation of absolutely every event that's happening for the whole year, you can check it out on my website. But Venus going into Sagittarius is good news for the fire signs, Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. So even for the air signs, anyone who has Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in a fire sign, Venus is going to help you much more than other people. You're going to be more likable, more pleasures in your life. Things can happen a bit more easier. But for everyone, for the next about a month, Venus being in Sagittarius, it means it will make things easier in a certain area of your life. When it's Sagittarius, everyone has Sagittarius somewhere in their horoscope. Generally, for everyone, it means fantastic time to travel, guys. Maybe not when Mercury squares Mars, because there will be some surprises and stresses. But in particular, very good time for almost a month ahead. If you go somewhere abroad, or if you want to start studying something, you're going to enjoy it a lot. Venus gives us ease and pleasure in something. Venus makes us more open-minded in relationships and more adventurous. So some of you will definitely want to experiment more, to have more adventures, to explore new things with your partner or new relationships as well. People as well want to have more freedom to experience different relationships, to experience different connections with people. It's a good time to meet foreigners, generally travel, higher education, and all such matters. But specifically, for example, for Aries, Venus will definitely, for the next 1 month while it's in Sagittarius, will help you and will facilitate and make things easy in areas connected to their ninth house, which is for foreign travel, which is for contacts with people from very different backgrounds, which is for teaching in any way. It's if they teach, or if they are going to some university, it will get easier. There will be some positive help there. If they're traveling to foreign country for some trips as well, can be great. And enjoying higher knowledge and learning of some sort, of help and support of some sort from teachers, mentors, and learned people. And if you are Taurus, Venus will be in your 8th house for almost a month starting from this week. So things become easier when it comes to your mutual resources, finances, taxes, inheritances. You can receive some help or support, or even you can receive some present from another, or more financial or moral support from another person. And even for intimacy, it becomes easier. If you're Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, Venus will be in your 7th house. It can become a little bit easier when it comes to relationships. Something good can happen to you in that area of life for the next 1 month. Some good dates, or some good contract that you complete, some good contractual agreement as well. Maybe you'd have more women around you in your life for a month ahead. You can be more diplomatic with people and find solutions to problem by being compromising, and actually meeting people that are willing to be more compromising and agreeable. If you are Cancer, Venus will be in your 6th house for the next month, which means that things regarded to your work becomes easier. You might enjoy your work more. You can even experience some kind of romantic developments at your workplace, or connected around there. Or also, it can increase desire for sweets when Venus transits the 6th house, and for sugar. That's some of the more negative side. But on another level, it can make you take pleasure in taking care of your health and your daily routines, and in the work that you're doing. If you are Leo, Venus will be transiting from your 5th house. You can have more fun for a month ahead, Leos. You can let your hair down. You can have some more positive romantic experiences, maybe a date, or maybe just more romance in your life, and ability to go for a date, to connect on a heart level, the 5th house, with someone you love, or your children. If you have children, they'll become easier. You'll have some support there. They'll be more charming, for example, more agreeable. If you're working on some creative project, things will flow there. It will give you a sense of satisfaction, sense of pleasure, or just going out and having fun and enjoying yourself for the next month. If you are Virgo, Venus will be in your 4th house. Your family for a month ahead becomes a sense of something good coming, like a safe haven, a retreat for yourself. So maybe you might prefer, Virgos, to spend more time at home because you feel more calm and peaceful there. And if there were some stresses in your home and family, they can be calmed down now. Some difficult situation can be improved in your family. Also, your family environment can be improved. Your home, how it looks, you can arrange it better. You can buy beautiful furniture for there. Just more peace and harmony, and or support with help, and with parenting, with property, with land, with family, and with vehicles as well. If you are Libra, Venus enters for about a month in your third house. So you can receive some pleasant contacts, good communications, pleasant time with people like your friend, mates. The third house is people in our everyday life. Something good and more positive can happen in the life of relatives or siblings, of schoolmates, teammates, workmates as well. And even competitors is the third house. You can kind of chill out and relax a little bit, see some good fruits. Also, it's a good time that you can enjoy learning a new skill that will become easier. Also, it's a good time for anything to do with writing, with speaking, with communications, if you're in marketing or advertising, or for short trips and journeys. Maybe go for a few days to another country or to another town. It will flow easy for trips as well. If you are Scorpio, it's in your second house. You can enjoy more pleasurable, you can enjoy more the five senses over the next month approximately, which means like better food, more nutritious, more, you take pleasure in the food that you eat. It's not just going to be to keep you alive, and more connoisseur foods and wines and beverages. Also, it's good time that you can receive something materially. You can buy something that you wanted, that you consider valuable. You can spend a bit more money as well, but it will be on something that you're enjoying, something that you value and that you like for a long time. Also, you can buy clothes or anything that you consider beautiful, because your radar and sense, your radar or barometer for beauty and for what is attractive and valuable will be quite well honed, so to speak. And also materially, financially, if say, for example, if you have a business, this can be a time it can bring you more rewards financially as well. You can make better financial decisions of some sort. But again, it's also, you can spend and indulge yourself, and that's okay because you're gonna enjoy it. And if you're Sagittarius, Venus is entering your sign for the next month, Sagittarius, which means you're gonna start feeling more attractive. You're gonna start becoming more agreeable. There is already one benefic there, Jupiter. So you're already starting, and you're already riding the wave of positive, gentle influence. But Venus will enhance that, the two benefics there. So things will come to you easier. You can attract Venusian things easier because this planet is vibrating so strongly in your field now, which is love or relationships or agreements or some kind of solution of conflict, peace, some arrangement, some deal making as well, beauty, luxury. So good time for some luxurious, to indulge somehow yourself, to pamper yourself more. And because you're more charismatic and charming, doors will open more easily for you. If your Capricorn, Venus goes for a month into the 12th house, it's time where you might enjoy, because wherever Venus is, you enjoy these things the most. You can enjoy a lot privacy. And you can enjoy spending more time alone, whether it's reading. But 12th house also rules bed pleasures. So maybe you can be more sexually satisfied with your partner. And if you don't have a partner, it can be some kind of daydreaming that you're doing and fantasizing more and yearning. And if you're single, it's a great time when Venus is in the 12th house, Capricorn, for you to imagine, because the 12th house is the unmanifest, that is just the 99% invisible that is unmanifest, the thought field, the astral field. And if you focus your thoughts and imaginings on producing the right partner, so for maybe for a couple of weeks, this from this week and maybe 3 onwards, just imagine what are the qualities of the partner you want. How do you want them? How are you gonna feel? You have to feel how you're gonna feel when you have the right partner. Or if you're in a relationship, you have to imagine what are the qualities of your partner that you want them to start developing, or that you want them to say. They don't pick up the trash, or they don't initiate fun things together. Just keep imagining, your Capricorns, the things that you want your partner to be more like. Don't think on the things you don't want them to be. Imagine those things, because you are triggering with Venus, the planet of love, the invisible field of, so you can make miracles happen with your imagination. The law of attraction, it doesn't always work. You need to have activated planets in the 12th house by transit in order for it to do this magic thing, that things start changing around you just because you're imagining it and feeling it. So yes, make this list, this imagine. Also, it can be time where you have some private relationships or something behind the scenes as well. All right. So if your Aquarius, Venus is in your 11th house, starting from this week, some financial gains are more likely to come, rewards of some sort, also maybe good times with friends, enjoyment, and even some romantic connection with a friend is possible when Venus transits the 11th house, with an acquaintance as well. Someone can introduce you while you are out in a social event to another person, and another person that we're not talking only relationship material person, but we're talking about someone who can be beneficial to you, someone who can give you good advice, or who can be useful for you, or mutually useful to each other. So good connections can be formed. So socially active brings you joy, brings you pleasure, and brings you even possibilities for future attainment of your goals. And you can just feel that you're surrounded, that you have more contacts with friends, female friends in particular, or that something good is happening in the life of a friend, in regards to relationship, for example, because Venus rules that. And if you're Pisces, Venus for a month will be in your 10th house. Good time for your career, Pisces, to improve your reputation. Something that is difficult in your career will become easier. Maybe an authority figure or a boss, if you ask them for help, you will receive it. But I would ask you to wait till Venus joins Jupiter in the 10th house, because then this energy will be bam. We'll speak about that in another weekly. And in career, in your goals in career and social visibility, or maybe if you're looking for a job now in the next 1 month, you have a lot of help in regards to finding that job. But as I said, there is 2 difficult aspects that are happening this week, and one of them is Mars square, and Mars is here in Aries. You see this square Mercury in Capricorn. That's a square aspect, which means obstacle has to be overcome. And as I said, we want to move forward. We are impatient. Mars is in Aries. The moon is growing, which means new beginnings, and big shifts because of all the cardinal planets. But we have an obstacle to overcome this week. And first of all, for everyone, generally, this energy is going to feel like more argumentative, like you're fighting with people more. And especially when it's the exact time. Let's see. Sorry. The exact time is Mercury square Mars is on January the 8th, so maybe a day or 2 before and a day or 2 after that. And the positive, it's mentally stimulating, increases in physical energy levels, but the nervous energy goes high. Mercury rules the nerves and Mars stresses those. Too much mental energy, easily stressed around that time, around January the 8th. Moments of tension and frustration, impatience, picking up verbal fights. So guys, this is red zone period where you're more likely to be argumentative or someone else to be argumentative, And you can be more easily distracted by some kind of obstacles that appear, for example, delays, communications and transportation problems, like breaking of a computer, breaking of a phone, or stealing someone your phone, or some kind of, because Mars is to do harm, to break something when it makes hard aspect, or to damage something. Mercury is all technology, communication devices. Mercury is also transportation when you're traveling from one place to another. So like more road rage and traffic jams that you're stressed out about. And Mercury naturally rules people we communicate in our daily life with, so arguments with friends, workmates, siblings, neighbors, accident proneness. So, just a little bit of a warning there. And I wanted to show you something else. Who is going to feel this the most? Of course, people that have the signs of, sorry, where is that? No. People that have the signs of Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra strongly influenced. But if you really want to know who will feel this the most, go to my transit calculator, transit calendar. If you already have an account, you're logged in, select someone. For example, I'll give you an example how to see who really gets most affected by this transit, most stressed. Well, I'll choose Kai, for example, and this is the chart for the week. If you have difficult Mercury or Mars transits that are happening in your horoscope, you're definitely going to feel it. The Mercury transits are in green, and Kai has easy though. The trine and the sextile are easy, so he is not affected difficultly by that. And the sextile is also easy aspect. He has no Mars transits, so sorry about that. So he doesn't get affected. But if you switch here, this is for Mila. Look at that. If Mars transits are in red, or they can look in pink if they're still weak. Mercury transits are in red, in green. So look at him and look at her. She's going to have Mercury, the conjunction, the square, and the oppositions are the more difficult aspects. So she's going to have conjunction, square, and square of Mercury to her own personal planets, to her Mercury, Saturn, Venus, and Mars conjunct the fourth house cusp. So the square between Mars transiting Mars and Mercury affects her personal planets directly and personal points in the horoscope, and actually 4 of them. And you can read specifically what it means by clicking here. There is lots of text. You can leave comments and say what happened to you on that day. I'll be very grateful if you do. Because this way others can learn from your experience and you're helping someone else. But yes, you have access to this free calendar for every 7 days ahead. And this is when you know when a prognosis that I'm talking about affects you much more directly, So when you hear the planets that are involved, like I said, Mercury and Mars, and the transiting, if they're transiting your personal planets, all this tension that we talked about, Mars and Mercury, is going to manifest, and you have to listen very carefully here. Everyone will feel it on some level, but some of them, there will be tangible effects that can create big stresses. Poor Mila. It's like, I have to be careful with her. She's been having hell of a week already. So another way it can play out is that we're rushing to start new things. Mars in Aries, we're restless, we want to get things done, but some obstacle comes. Mercury in Capricorn. Capricorn is some rules, some regulations, some bureaucratic matters, some papers that we have to sort out, something to fix some mistake that we've done there, or it slows down our progress because we have to keep some rules, or because we have to, some blockage comes from those in higher positions than us, or some extra things that we have to do before we can proceed forward, and they can be critical towards our forward movement and towards our especially when you want to do something fast. So it can be your own inner authority that stops you suddenly and says, okay, you find out some mistakes, or you find out that There are lots of extra responsibilities and duties that you have to do to comply with certain requirements, which is the Capricorn is like rules, requirements. What is the, according to the law, to the letter of the law. So especially if you're in some kind of business and stuff, you'll be dealing with a lot of those things. This is where the stresses are coming from. Or you might be in the position that you're more like the one in an established authority position, or someone who keeps to the rules, like permanence, like security, likes to keep the letter of the law, to do things right, to do things to kind of high standards. And someone is rushing you. Mars comes as a blockage or as an irritation from another person, usually someone either younger or less experienced, or someone with new opinions that wants to kind of almost break you out of your established rules and established way of doing something, and you experience, and it kind of rubs you off in the wrong way. They might kind of attack your established experience already. They might attack the way that you're doing things, the old ways, and say this is old ways. You have to do it in there's better, newer way, because Aries is new and Mars wants to do breakthroughs and to innovations to introduce. So this is how the frictions can come. You can be in the role of the one pushing forward and having to kind of take into consideration some rules and regulations or higher authority or certain demands of how things have to be done, and criticism as well. And also, or you can be in the Mercury, or you can be in both situations at different moments throughout the week. And you can be, as I said, in the Mercury situation in Capricorn, like this is the old way, this is how it's done, this is tried and tested, it works. But someone or something comes that's challenges you to take action, to kind of introduce something new. And of course, this is stressful. Or it might be directly a person who is kind of pushing you and being like, go move faster. And you're like, I'm the expert, I'm experienced, I know better. And someone is there, imposing their opinions and how things should be done, on you. And of course, you can either make a big shit out of it, and out of because both those signs are quite proud. Mars is egomaniac in Aries. Things have to be my way, I'm the boss. And it's trigger happy, and it's gets angry easy. While Mercury in Capricorn, and Capricorn is a sign, it's like, I have authority, I have achieved that, I need to be respected. And again, when this is challenged, the person, how they react. So such kind of issues will be coming up, guys, around you, in you. And to be honest, the day Mars entered into Aries, because usually an ingress of planet into a new sign really shows the energy of that planet. And the day it happened, there was such a big blowout on my Astrolada group, where I think we're like 2,000-3,000 people there already. Someone said something, they started fighting, they were swearing. I think there were about 50 fuck yous that I read and fuck offs. And I'm like, well, this is such a well-behaved group. But Mars in Aries, people are easily triggered. People that are usually behave normal and decent might feel they're pushed to the limit of their, especially to use harsher words, especially with the square aspect that's coming up. And people that are already easy and volatile to get angry, it's stay away from them. But there is a way to overcome even difficult aspects. They mean that we can do something. We can turn this thing like lemons into lemonades, because it's pushing us into action. So what you can do is, if there's a need to act fast, to do something and to do new things, you have to take into consideration the old rules, rely on old experience. Don't neglect it, because the obstacles can come, because this can be, you have to respect both authority and established ways, and you have to respect at the same time new initiatives. So you have to find a way, no matter how hard it is. These are two very different principles of Capricorn and Aries, to combine them. Even if you're fighting, if you enter into fight, someone criticizes you, You can maybe, someone with more experience or authority criticizes you and says you haven't done it correctly. Capricorn is, if you do something, do it right. Aries is, do something, just do something new. I don't care what it is, just do something new. So someone criticizes you, maybe instead of just only rushing, take that instead of exploding in their face, telling them the F word, then regretting, think about it, and maybe there is something. Yes, it will delay you a little bit. You'll have to do some rules and regulations there, and some extra paperwork or whatever. But you're gonna benefit from doing things in the legal, in the tested way, or from old experience. Or if you're in the other group, that you're like, I'm always, I want to do my routine, to always do it like that. I know best because I have a lot of experience and authority. And someone, challenges you and says, this sucks, or there is a better way, there is a new way, or move faster, move faster, do it faster. Well, instead of again getting like, if you're in the Capricorn role, you'd kind of just get more constipated and resentful. And instead of biting back, just consider, actually there might be a better way to do it. You might have to adjust something. Yes, you might have to come out of your comfort zone to try something new. So you can combine both of those energies in some way. So where will those topics manifest for some of you? So this increased levels of stress and having to combine two very different energies of the old and the new. And also be careful, because Mercury, we said there might be some accidents, or there might be all those things that we read earlier. So, for example, for Aries, it's the first house, so their own actions, new beginnings. 10th house, career, authority figures, bosses figures. That's where they have to be careful for those issues. For Taurus is the 12th house, some gossip, hidden actions, someone doing something behind your back, or you doing something hidden, or some expenses. And belief systems, maybe clash of belief systems, and I know better, my knowledge is better, or with figures that are mentors, teachers, father figures. For Gemini, those stresses that we talked about, listen to the first part, that stresses between Mercury and Mars that you have to reconcile in some way. Those different energies are coming maybe through their friendships, some power struggles. 8th house is power struggles, so matters connected to mutual resources and finances, taxes, insurances, some secrets of some sort as well, some secret knowledge, and friendships or social groups of some sort that you belong to. So there can be stresses. Maybe Gemini, you might be on an astrology group, 8th house, and you might start, some occult secret knowledge, and you might start the group is the 11th house. You might start fighting there or something. That's one silly example. It might be with friends, it might be with other social groups. And some change of, you need to also, the 11th house is the need to readjust your goals in some way, your long-term goals, because something challenges it. And if you're Cancer, something to do with your 10th house and 7th house, so social status. There can be some stress with bosses, with career project, with work, some aggravations and stresses, or with relationships, personal business contracts, clients, marriage partners. If you're Leo, this is your 6th house and your 9th house, so maybe clashes of opinions with people at work, or some kind of adverse, the 6th house is criticism and adversity with others that happens, especially because of belief system, because of opinions. How should you do it? The 9th house is those things, or some stresses in regards to travels, to higher knowledge, and such matters. If you're, and also be careful with your health there, or with work processes of some sort. If you're Virgo, this is your 5th house and your 8th house that are being affected. So the stresses can come from children, or from lovers, through boyfriends, girlfriends, or romantic partners, and they can involve something connected to secrets, something connected to power struggles, 8th house, something connected to mutual resources, or money, or finances, something connected to taxes and insurances. So it can be something connected to intimacy even, which is the 8th house. And for Libra, or mutual resources that you receive from others. So some creative stresses that are happening on some project that you're working creatively, and resources of others that are involved that gives you stresses and such. If your Libra is the 10th house and 7th house that's being affected for you, Libras, turn it like that. So, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th house and the 7th house for Libra is where this tension is happening. You have to be more careful with your personal and business relationship. Someone might be pressing your buttons. Oh, that's my husband, Libra. I'll be obviously, and your family, personal, home life. So some stresses there around the 8th. You might have to fix something with a partner. You might have to some tensions if you're doing something in a collaborative or with someone. This can affect your peace of mind and stress you, or some changes that affect, especially connected to home, family, those stresses, and your personal relationship that can be a bit, especially if you see that your chart is activated for the weekly transit calculator that I've given you from my website on free. If you see that you're having Mars or Mercury transit, you have to be careful, Libras. It's volatile week, so you don't regret there fighting with family and friends. And if you're Scorpio, be careful a bit while driving the 3rd house on short trips, a little bit more accident prone, and the 6th house is your health. This is where, and plus, when there is difficult activation between Mars and Mercury, again, it's health generally and nerves that you have to be more cautious with. But there is, and funny, my little boy's Scorpio, ascendant and moon, and the moment Mars entered Aries, which is the 6th house for Scorpio, he got sick because Mars is inflammations and health, acute health things, and he's been acting out so badly. He's been very aggressive because of that. But for you, it's also communications. Be careful that you don't, because of some adversity, the 6th house, that you're irritated into fighting with colleagues, with workmates, with siblings, with relatives, even with friends. The 3rd house, that you say things that you might regret in some way, but also it can indicate that those stresses push you to do some constructive changes in your social environment, in your in small, and also in small work group environments. It can be more tense. For example, like he goes to kindergarten, which is the 3rd house, or if you go to work, these are your work colleagues or playmates or workmates, so he might be biting them or something, or fighting with them, or but there is some challenge, but it's easy to overcome. You have to adapt. Oh, it's also the working processes, your days, how they're planned. You've planned something and it can be more stressful because your plans have to change. You have to incorporate something new, or you have to take into considerations something, rules and regulations to the letter that you have to comply with. So these are the kind of things that Scorpio gets annoyed with. Or if you're traveling as well and driving. Sagittarius is your 2nd house that the square is activating. The 2nd house and the 5th house. So there can be some little escalation of stress because of resources connected to some project, creative project of yours. The 5th house, 2nd house, resources, some sudden unexpected things you have to fix, or expenses, or it can be as well for spending for something that you find enjoyable but that creates some stress for you, or something that you or it might be even some kind of fight with loved ones for money or for food. If it's 2nd house is eating, 5th house is your children, it can be like, fighting for such things, or stresses. Or for cooking, you might burn the food and you might fight with loved ones, 5th house, because of that. Or there's and 2nd house is naturally also connected to family and close people. 5th house is love people, so some tension there. Some expenses can be happening for you in regards to creative projects, children, or lovers, and stuff like that. Or you might be having some tension with such people. If you're Capricorn, it's in your 1st and 4th house that is happening, this square aspect, basically. So be careful that you enter into fights, especially with family, that you're trying to keep the status quo, but there is the need to implement some new changes and to fix something, especially in your more personal life. This can escalate and create tensions for you more. Generally, Capricorn feels it very strong. If you're check out your weekly transits and see you have Mercury or Mars transit, which is square, opposition, or conjunction. If you do this week, be careful. This transit will be felt like this tension we talked about. If you're Aquarius, this is happening in your 12th, and your third house is Aquarius. So the tension can be communications, third house with workmates, teammates, even colleagues and clients and relatives of any sort in your environment. And especially it might involve some kind of gossip, Mercury in the 12th, or some kind of information hidden that kind of irritates you, or some missing element of information that creates some stressful situation in regards to some kind of a daily business activities, or some mistake that was caused. 12 houses mistake, something you're confused, that affects your plans and that gives you more stress, and that you have to fix something there, or you have to fix and incorporate something new into your communication style, business style, and you're resisting through the old ways. Anyway, if you're Pisces, Mars is in your second house, giving the square to Mercury in the 11th house. Again, these are financial houses. It might be some stresses connected to expenses or resources, or it might be something connected to your goals, and your long-term goals is the 11th house, that you have to incorporate something new, or you might have to incur some new expenses that stresses you, or some resources have to be done in a different way to be managed, or the financial plan for it. So you have to uh, uh, kind of combine those two energies, and to work through them despite the stresses. So it might be some kind of things happening with friends or with the social environment that gives you some stress, and that can make you spend more, for example. So yeah, you can feel it in those different areas of life. But of course, we also have another very important transit this week. And by the way, by the end of the week, Mercury will join Saturn in Capricorn. So there will be some very important decision each one will be taking towards the end of the week. For example, for Aries on Sunday or already Saturday, there can be some important developments in regards to their career, for Taurus in regards to their plans for the future, for Gemini in regards to finances and resources, for Cancer in regards to their relationships, for Leo in regards to their work and health, for Gemini in regards to for Virgo in regards to their love life and children and creative project, Libra, their home life, personal life, Scorpio, their business, commerce, trips, communication, Sagittarius, finances, money, resources, Capricorn, very big decision in your life, some very important communication. For business, it can be good. For Aquarius, some hidden information that requires something to be done, or something in regards to some important decision in regards to removing something from your life. For Pisces, in regards to your long-term goals, in regards to gains, in regards to friendships, social networks. But the other important thing that I wanted to say, and that's at the end of the week, but it's already active the whole month, is that there is Neptune square Jupiter. That's a difficult aspect, the square. But because they're in signs that are ruled by the same planet, they have the same agenda. So it's not gonna be stressful, but the whole month is under the influence of Jupiter square Neptune, guys. And it's a rare aspect because it's a slow aspect. It takes much longer, repeats rarely. There was one in 2015, Neptune opposition Jupiter, but it was way more difficult because they were in signs that were more difficult. Well, this one they're both in their own signs. They're strong. Jupiter also rules Pisces. So they have the agenda to dissolve basically what it is on a universal level. And this process will continue, and it will repeat again in June, July, and again in the autumn, or somewhere in the end of the summer. So it's a long process, but it starts now in January. It can incline one to spend, generally collectively, to spend more. Usually it will be something we enjoy. To spend more on traveling. The world, you'll notice this year that people traveling a lot more, because both signs are about international travel. There will be a lot more people that are questioning their beliefs, that are questioning Jupiter, because Neptune wants to dissolve some old beliefs. We can feel even disappointed in certain belief systems and in certain outlook toward the world that we had and dissolve them. So we might look, a lot of people might start looking for different philosophical belief systems, and they might even want to do pilgrimages and travel and explore, so they can see different perspective, and they can, this crisis of faith that can happen, they can align it to more spiritual values. And because Neptune will dissolve our beliefs, not only like, are you Christian and Muslim? Jupiter is your outlook on the world. Do you believe life is easy or hard? Do you believe the universe is helping people? Do you believe there is meaning in life? What is your aim as well? Jupiter is the aim, where you're aiming at, the goal. And because the difficult aspect, and Neptune is the planet of fog and confusion, some of us, and collectively, we might be aiming at with a good intention. We might have a very good big plan, but our mark might be a little bit off currently. And this whole year, you'll be adjusting your mark. It means that, for example, you imagine, it's like your dream is to create a big certain company, or your dream is to stop working for the man and to become self-employed, or your dream is to create this software, some goal for the future. Or your goal for the future is to to achieve 50,000 per month, so you have a plan for it, but this month already something is starting to crumble with this plan, or something is starting. So if you're doing this plan, something is a bit off the mark. You're imagining it one way, you're probably actually imagining it a bit better, or that it's going to happen in a certain way, but it's not going to be exactly this way, because you might not immediately realize what it is. There are 2 more repeats of that. You might have to come back to it in June and to revise it. But again, Jupiter and Neptune, they both want to grow, to expand, to be boundaryless, to be without limitation. So because of such more inspired thoughts, and for better future, for better aiming at the higher goals, they might be a bit unrealistic. That's the only issue. But we have a great thing, because at the same time, the Mercury Saturn conjunction in Capricorn is making sextile aspect, which is a good one, to Mercury. So, and because it's Saturn in the sign of Capricorn, it's very realistic, down to earth, and Mercury is our ability to research, to think, and so something is grounding us, despite of this wishful thinking or rose-colored glasses that Neptune, Jupiter has. I'm imagining it much better than it is, or I'm imagining it grand out, organize this event, and I'll have 200 people, and you're off the mark, But something needs to be considered, and thankfully, already this week, Mercury and Saturn, but the whole month of January are making, and specifically this week, a sextile. So I speak particularly in my January videos how this Neptune-Jupiter square will affect each of the signs. I'm not going to repeat it here. Check out my January monthly videos. Even though I have a funny voice there, it's a glitch from YouTube. They would not respond back to fix it, because I think they said 200,000 subscribers first, almost there. But I'm going to tell you in this video, weekly ones, where you're going to find support for this a bit ungrounded influence, where you can be spending too much on not aiming realistically at the goal, that your aim is off the mark a little bit, and that it's not as you're not seeing something there. So what grounds you, what stabilizes you, and if there is some disappointment that's happening, because Neptune involved in difficult aspects tends to be like that, you realize something, you imagine it one way and you end up being disappointed because of, again, wishful thinking, not seeing things clearly. So what is helping each of the signs? For Aries, this possibility for spending and all these things that we talked about, wishful thinking, being off the mark, some authority figure, consult an authority figure, someone with more experience, a father figure, someone, or even your father, or some kind of a older person, or your own experience, and some kind of tried and tested business method, or focusing on your work can remove this ungroundedness, this wishful thinking, and can tone down the possibility of mistakes and exaggerations and wrong aiming. So focus on your work, on tested, traditional, lawful ways. For Taurus, what is grounding you down, guys, and what is helping you overcome this kind of possibility for wrong aiming or wishful thinking or overspending is some teacher figure, maybe like a consultant, like an advisor, ninth house, or maybe someone who is an older. Uh, uh, the ninth house can be a father figure again, a teacher figure, or reading something, some spiritual read that grounds you, that gives you an answer, some spiritual guidance or guidance of some sort, because it's the ninth house. So maybe even focusing on studying and learning. This is what's going to ground you and give you a way out of the possibility for making a mistake, or even some kind of travel. Gemini, what grounds you is this eighth house. So maybe occult astrology, an astrologer, or maybe help from a partner. Eighth house is the resources and support from others that can help us, that can stabilize you, or that can help you if there is some kind of wishful thinking or wrong aiming, to stabilize it. For Cancer, it's a partner, it's an experienced partner, an older partner that can help you with an advice or consultant of some sort. That can stabilize the wishful thinking, that can stabilize the unrealistic, and or the put you some kind of disappointment, and help you see more clearly and more soberly. Uh, for Leos, what stabilizes and helps you see more clearly and soberly and not make mistakes is to focus on your work, is to do, or even an enemy, someone that you really don't like, someone might criticize you. Sixth house is all those things. And this can actually put you down to earth and help you avoid some of the mistakes of spending or wishful thinking or wrong aiming that are possible. And discovering certain mistakes, the sixth house, and working diligently on them and fixing them. But, paying attention to the details is what's going to help you as well. Or maybe a doctor, sixth house rules physicians, or of some sort, that can, if there's some other issues, can be a stabilizing influence in your life. If you're Virgo, stabilizing influence on your life from this more prone to extra expenses, or prone to to some kind of a wishful thinking or wrong aiming or disappointment influence, is your loved ones, the fifth house, focusing on your children, focusing on responsibilities with your children, focusing on maybe someone love, like might be someone you're dating actually, that even grounds you, gives you more realistic, breakdown of the situation, so you don't make a mistake. Or some creative hobby that you might focus in, and it's gonna ground you. For Libra, it's family. Family grounds you during this period, and family gives you some sobering, takes you down from cloud nine and your expectations and wishful dreamings and maybe wrong aiming of goals, but it grounds you. Or just doing some yard work, some fishing, the fourth house, or some garden work. This can ground you, being in connection to the earth, but especially family members of some sort. They kind of burst that bubble that can make you make mistakes or overspend. If you're Scorpio, your workmates, teammates, brothers, sisters, relatives, schoolmates can also ground you down, can make you realize that something is wishful thinking, or can help you realize that how you imagine certain things is a little bit off the mark, or can help stabilize you overall, this week. Or some kind of walks, and the third house is driving around a little bit. But be careful, because we have the square with Mars as well here. So these people, interestingly, they challenge us at the same time, because Mars at the end of the week, Saturn, they help us. Again, first they challenge us, and then they help us. For Scorpio, for Sagittarius, what stabilizes you at the end of this week is the same thing that aggravated you at the start of the week, Sagittarius, and that's, second house matters, which is family, which is also because of financial considerations, you might avoid making big mistake with spending or making a big mistake of some sort with miscalculating and aiming the arrow in the wrong way because you're considering material safety. If you're Capricorn, even though if you start the week aggravated and stressed, and irritable at the end of the week, what helps with this square Neptune of Jupiter is yourself. You're your own best teacher. You're thinking very rationally and clearly towards the end of the week, very practically, and that practical thinking and your own actions help you mitigate some wrong aiming or some disappointment and some miscalculation that's happening or something that might cause problem in the long term. So your own authority figure. For Aquarius, maybe actually because it's in your 12th house, the end of the week, what can help you avoid, especially some financial miscalculations there, or expenses, because your financial house are being triggered at the end of the week by Neptune, Jupiter, is go to sleep. 12th house. No, of course not, but is to decide to can even receive like some advice not to make a mistake with aiming your arrow, which is Jupiter in Sagittarius, in your dream. You can receive some instructions in your sleep or intuitively or by a psychic of some sort. So if you're gonna have a reading with someone this week, Aquarius, they can really help you avoid some kind of miscalculation that can cost you expensively or some kind of self-delusion. They can ground you in some way. Or the 12 houses as well, your own intuition in some way as well. All right, and if you are a Pisces, Saturn grounds you at the end of the week and protects you from Saturn, Mercury, and protects you from this expansive and sometimes miscalculated, taking the wrong turn and confusing influence through your. Maybe a friend can help, the 11th house. Maybe if you go on social media, ask someone for advice, they can help you. Or maybe an advice from some acquaintance can help you and ground you. Or just focusing on social activities or just focusing on some kind of 11th houses because you have more sober consideration in regards to your long-term goals. And this will help you avoid some personal confusion and mistake and if you're not aiming correctly, So yeah, it's interesting week. Lots of things happening. I made many personal horoscope. Who's gonna do the stamps now? Let's see. That's why I can't do stamps, guys, because I speak about each signs all over the place, and I force you to watch all my videos like that. Well, come on, astrology is fun. Like we're learning together. And if you didn't hear the previous part when I explained the aspect more in depth, you just hear, home and family and relationships. What about them? How do you combine those energies? But here we go. And don't forget, we're doing a live webinar. We have 40 people already in Bulgaria, in Sozopol. I'm so excited. And that's the biggest. It's very calm place, but there is the biggest party place as well. So there are a lot of young, single, fun people there. So that's gonna be party as well. But we're gonna study hard during the day, guys. And some of them already are gonna stay for a week. And I'm there. We can all hang out together. I think it's just gonna be blast. But the most important thing is the studies we're gonna do there. The partying is partying, but we're going to do some predictive astrology every day, 6 hours, and some visiting to sacred sites and the summer solstice. I'm really excited, guys. Maybe we can get another 10, 15 people more. So check out the link for the summer retreat. And yes, the free calculator also. I have the January and February 100 pages, 140 pages, in-depth description of each month. You can written descriptions of each month with many predictions for each sign inside. So you can check them out on my website. I'm going to put links below. So thank you so much and have a great week.